Director of the Swami Vivekananda Cultural Center at the Consulate General of India in Durban, Dr. Chaitanya Prakash Yogi, colleagues Ms. Cheryl Banwarilal, Ms. Kavita Solanki, Mr. Piyush Khandelwal. Distinguished guests, audience members, namaskar, and welcome to today's Yummy Week of Indian Kitchens Worldwide, with today being part 2 of the continent of Africa, with Africa being the second largest continent in the world. Without further ado, I present to you Ms. Kavita Solanki, who is the teacher of Indian culture at SPCC Durban, for her rendition of a Shlok mantra.
Namaskar everyone. Om Brahmarpanam Brahmavi Brahmagno Brahmanahutam Brahmaivatena Gantavyam Brahma Karma Samadhina. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Kavita ji, for that beautiful rendition of the shloka. In English, it translates to: the oblation is Brahm, the clarified butter is Brahm, offered by Brahm in the fire of Brahm. Unto Brahm, very into the heart goes, who cognizes Brahm alone in his action. Om, peace, peace, peace. Well, today we celebrate day 3 of Indian Kitchens Worldwide. We are crossing over to the beautiful, sunny city of Durban, where we're going to have a very unique guest. Not only is he educated in the Veds and Upanishads, also very talented and going to educate us in the kitchen and give us a small talk on why Indian food is so good and so healthy for us, yet being so divine and so tasty. We present to you no other, Swami Vedanand Saraswati, the spiritual head of Arya Samaj, South Africa.
My dearest friends, namaste to each and every one of you. I'm Swami Vedanand Saraswati from South Africa, and it gives me such great pleasure this afternoon to prepare for you a dish which has its roots in India, the spices from India, the techniques from India, but equally proudly and uniquely South African. Taking spices, taking the herbs, and taking the style of cooking, I'm going to introduce to you how our indentured laborers, right from 1860, that arrived on these shores, had transformed their food to be able to adapt to the South African lifestyle. Today I'm going to cook for you a classic sugar beans and potato curry with a Ayurvedic vegetable pulao. Now there's two ways. One, you can have the pulao with the sugar beans and potato, but also in South Africa, we have and are the proud inventors of the bunny chow, which is basically taking a loaf of bread, unsliced, cutting it in half or a quarter, removing the inner piece, thereby exposing the inside of the bread and placing the curry within. It's a uniquely South African invention. So I'm going to start off by showing you the ingredients I have, both for the curry first and then for the pulao that I'll be making. So let's go over to our spices. Salt. Now you'll notice that I'll be using Himalayan salt. Himalayan salt is much more healthier than your ordinary salt and has all the vitamins and nutrients needed for the body. I've got elaichi pods, black pepper pods. Beside giving flavor, the black pepper aids in allowing turmeric to be absorbed in the body. I've got some cloves, also known as the king of spice. I've got some star anise seed. I've got the classic cumin seeds. Now cumin seeds, which has an earthy, nutty and spicy flavor, not only promotes digestion and reduces foodborne infections, but also has a rich source of iron. Then we have ajwain, also known as ajmo seeds. These are rich in fiber, minerals, vitamins, as well as antioxidants, and can be chewed raw or even extracted by making a tea concoction or decoction rather. Mustard seeds. I have the large black elaichi, which adds lots of flavor and also is packed with a lot of nutrients. Some dried chilies, bay leaves, and then I've got some ground black and ground white pepper as well, garam masala, some sabji masala which I'll explain to you about when I'm using it, organic turmeric powder. Now remember, turmeric is vitally important for health because it contains what is known as curcumin, a substance which is a powerful anti-inflammatory and antioxidant. It eases arthritis, helps prevent Alzheimer's disease, helps prevent cancer, maintains colitis remissions, boosts the immune system, and most importantly, lowers cholesterol. Now, it's important that you get the right turmeric because unfortunately, many turmerics that you find today are mixed with mielie meal flour to give it weight and to give it bulkness. So try your best to get organic turmeric powder. Then we have the classic cinnamon sticks, freshly ground ginger and garlic. I always emphasize on using fresh ingredients. Yes, I know this is an age where people are busy at work and they've got no time to chop fresh veggies and to grate fresh ginger and garlic, but as much as possible, even though there are many varieties in the store where you get pre-bottled ginger and garlic mixes, try your best to use fresh ingredients. That is where you have the maximum amount of nutrients packed within it. I've got some roughly chopped dhania or coriander. I've got some spring onion. I've got some sliced red onions. I've got some shallots, mixed vegetables which will be going into the pulao rice, tomato, curry leaves, and the uniquely South African masala mix. Now you'll notice the difference between India and South Africa is that within India they will use the different spices in different quantities, but in South Africa we have a general masala mix which is used for a variety of curries, whether it's your veg dishes in curry forms or as a sprinkler when you're used to roasting veg. It's basically made of chili powder, cumin powder, dhania powder, turmeric, garam masala, and sometimes a little bit of somph. But each family in South Africa, each proudly South African Indian family has their own family history or family masala mix that they use. I've got some diced potatoes, I've got some sugar beans, and a key ingredient which I use in the curry, and I'll explain to you when I'm using it why, is tomato paste. Then I've got some pre-soaked rice, some desi ghee, and I've got some chana. So the first thing I'm going to be preparing is the sugar beans curry. So the first thing we're going to need is to put oil in the pot. Now I want to speak to you about oil. It's a common trait to use a lot of oil because it is said that it brings out the flavor in the meal, it brings out the flavor in the spices, but unfortunately to great detriment to your health, especially when it comes to cholesterol. Now, although there's no direct link between using oil and the increase of cholesterol, however, indirectly, studies have found that the usage of extra oil or the consumption of extra oil eventually leads to higher cholesterol. Now, you'll be noticing that I'm going to be using olive oil. Olive oil is actually very good when it comes to aiding in the reduction of cholesterol, but obviously a little goes a long way. Now, the key with olive oil is that you never allow it to get to smoking point. If you allow olive oil to get to smoking point, it starts to get toxic. So immediately heat your pan or heat your pot, drizzle the oil, and I'll show you, say about a tablespoon and a half, and immediately start adding your spices so that you don't allow the oil to get to smoking temperature at least. So if you come towards me, I'm going to first switch on the pan. we go. I'm just going to allow it to heat up a little bit. And I'm going to take the oil and I'm going to drizzle about 1.5 tablespoons. That is all you're going to need. A little goes a long way, especially when it comes to your health. Just going to swirl that around a little bit. And the way I test to see whether the oil is ready is I take a piece of cinnamon stick and I place it in there. And once it starts to bubble, then I know that it is ready. So I can see the bubbles coming through to the side. I'm going to add 2 more cinnamon sticks because the cinnamon gives it very, very lovely flavor. While the cinnamon is in, I'm going to add 1 pod of the black elaichi. It's a very expensive spice, but trust me when I say it gives bountiful flavor in a meal, as well as has a lot of antioxidant properties as well. You'll notice I'm going to add the hard spices and leave the seeds for when the oil is nice and hot. I'm going to add, say, 2 star anise. When adding your elaichi, say 4 pods, just give it a little crush just to open up the seed so that it can release the flavor. Add that in. I'm going to add a few peppercorns. Remember, the peppercorns, beside adding flavor to the meal, allow the turmeric to be absorbed in the body effectively. I'm going to add the king of spice, cloves, say 4 cloves. I'm going to add in the dried chili. I'm also going to add fresh chili. Just going to break it like that to release the seeds. 1, 2. Just drop the heat to medium. I'm going to add 1 large and 1 small bay leaf. I like using my wooden spoons. So the most important thing to know whether the spices are at the right temperature and are sizzling nicely, and when it's ready to put in your onions and your ginger and your garlic, is to smell. Use your senses. Now it's giving a beautiful aroma, so I know that it's ready to add my seeds. So I'm going to add some ajwain. You see, immediately it starts to crackle. Just going to drop the heat a little bit. Whatever you do, do not burn your spices. I'm going to add a teaspoon of the cumin. Take the mustard seeds, and I'm also going to add about half a teaspoon of the mustard seeds. Now with mustard seeds, the most important thing is you've got to allow the mustard seeds to pop. If the mustard seeds do not pop, it's going to give you indigestion. So it's very, very, very important. So you can hear them popping. I'm going to immediately add my onions. Now, most importantly, generally, as spiritual seekers, you'll find that in a sattvic lifestyle, one does not consume garlic or onion. And the reason is because of the compounds of the onion and the garlic. Now I'm just going to close my lid quickly. The compounds of the garlic and the onion allow excessive rajasic qualities to develop within the body. Because remember, as a spiritual seeker, you develop your practices that keep you at a light density and energy spectrum, which is balanced. The moment you have something that is rajasic, it tends to off-balance your ability to keep the spiritual mentality and starts to develop rajasic qualities. However, especially during the time that we are now with the coronavirus, with flu season, you find that the body, when you're not practicing sadhana, or at a time where your body is vulnerable to diseases, or whether your immune system is low, then remember Ayurveda actually says that garlic and onions have properties to aid the body in developing a strong immune system, especially because having a weak immune system means a misbalance or an ill balance. So therefore it is okay to have onions and garlic because it brings you back to the balance. It's only when you are balanced that you won't have garlic and onion, because then it misbalances you. But when you already have a misbalance, the garlic and the onion and the properties within build your immune system, which keeps you back to a level state, right? So it's important at this stage, especially to keep a good immune system, to have garlic and onions. And the important thing is, remember, where the qualities of the rajasic lies the most is when the onions are raw and bitter or strong. If you sweat onions down, that means on a low heat, as I've got it now, and I've lowered the heat, I've closed the lid, I allow the moisture to sweat the onions. And as the onions sweat, you will find that from a pungent, strong flavor, the onions become sweet, thereby severely reducing the rajasic qualities that the onions would ordinarily possess. So try sweating the onions as well. It will help you. Remember, onions and garlic help with heart disease also. If you've got coronary heart disease, you've got high cholesterol, onions is important. If you suffer from any cancer diseases, garlic and onions help in fighting against the cancers as well. So Ayurveda proposes it in every degree. Obviously, when you're on a spiritual journey and when you're specifically practicing strong sadhanas, then it's avoided because it has a different chemical compound. But in ordinary day life, when you experiencing the normal ills of society or the normal ill health that comes with it, then consuming garlic and onions is important. But again, it's a choice that's up to you. This meal doesn't necessarily have to have garlic and onions. You can easily omit both the garlic and the onion and you'll still get a delicious meal. So while this is sweating, we'll be back right now and then we'll continue the ingredients. Now that the onions are lovely and brown, I'm going to quickly add in the ginger and garlic. Now I'm just going to put half that because the rest I'll use for the rice. I'm going to give it a quick 10-second stir in. Literally just 10 seconds. I'm going to add in a sprig of curry leaves, a chili, and secret ingredient is some thyme, which gives it a lovely flavor. Then I'm going to add 2 tablespoons of the masala mix. And give that 10 seconds just so that they can release, the masala can release its oils. Literally just 10 seconds. And then I'm going to drop in the tomatoes. The tomatoes and the liquid within the tomatoes loosens all the spices that have coated the bottom. And now, the secret ingredient is tomato paste. And the reason, I'm going to just use half of this tomato paste. The reason I add tomato paste is it gives it a lovely, thick gravy. And you'll notice that especially when it comes to a bunny chow and you're looking for that extra gravy and that thick, beautiful gravy, tomato paste does the trick. And I'm just going to take a little bit of water, boiling water. Now as my beans are already boiled and soft and ready, I'm going to at this stage add in my potatoes. So the potatoes are in. And I'm going to leave that to cook until the potatoes are 3/4 ready, and then I'm going to add in the beans. And that's about it for the beans curry. When we come back, we'll check on this and we're going to begin with the rice, which is as quick as a flash. So while our beans are boiling away, I'm going to get done with the rice. My oil is nice and hot. in my saucer, if you come and see, I've got my mustard seeds, I've got my cumin, I've got my big elaichi, I've got my cinnamon sticks, cloves, bay leaf, and star anise, and I'm going to pop that in. Right, this is in a little bit of olive oil. Just let this splutter. And this is the easiest dish because everything goes in together. As that splutters away, we'll just check in. It's boiling nicely. Leave that to boil for a little bit more. Now you can actually smell the aroma of the oils come out of the spices. Now, in this rice mix, I'm going to put basmati rice, some chana which is packed with protein, and all your vitamins, your calciums, your minerals, all within this mixed vegetables. I've got baby marrow, I've got cauliflower, we've got some green beans, we've got some carrots, we've got some broccoli. So you've got a good power mix of ingredients that help boost the immune system. You can hear that my spices are crackling. So I'm going to drop in ginger and garlic. Give it a quick 10 seconds of a stir in. You don't want to burn them. The last thing you want to do. And I'm going to drop in my veggies. Give them a quick like that. I'm going to take the organic turmeric, about a teaspoonful. I'll drop in the onions because they will sweat while everything is boiling. Alright, look at the colors there. Absolutely delicious and nutritious. And I'm going to take the rice. Remember, it's only soaked rice, it's not pre-boiled in any way. Okay, I'll put some water in there just to get the rest of the rice off. We'll just seal the rice quickly. Some water just to get some of this rice out of here. Right. Then I'm going to get some of the Himalayan salt. Salt to taste. You can always adjust afterwards, never put extra salt. And then I'm going to add in the black pepper, quarter teaspoon of black pepper, quarter teaspoon of white pepper. I'm going to top it off with water just to cover. Just like that, just to cover. And we close the lid. And we leave that to steam and do its job for about 20 minutes. We'll come back when both are ready. Thank you. And we're done. So 3/4 into the way of the potatoes cooking, I added in the sugar beans. I let it cook for another 10 minutes together, and you can come and see. It is complete. I garnished it with a little bit of coriander and drizzled a little bit of desi ghee on there. And your sugar beans and potato is done. If you come across, you'll notice the pulao has steamed out completely. I've drizzled it with a little bit of desi ghee as well and garnished it with some coriander. And you can present it as follows. traditional South African bunny chow with sugar beans and potato, and an Ayurvedic vegetable palau, nutritious for any time of the day, any time of the month, any time of the year. Thank you very much. With all the love, light, and peace of my heart, stay safe and stay healthy. Namaste.
Thank you so much, Swamiji. We always learn so much from you. And today you've taken our breaths away and our tummies away. So definitely we are going to put all that knowledge and this recipe into very good use. Our next culinary guest is all the way in Ghana, cooking a very yummy, spicy Punjabi known dish, chana masala, is Mr. Vikyat Kumar. Thank you so much, Mr. Kumar, for that yummy dish. It definitely makes me feel so hungry. And where was the batura? Coming back home to South Africa is Miss Thigam Naidoo, keeping us warm and cozy on the inside with her tasty tomato spicy soup.
Hi there. Welcome to Indian Kitchens Worldwide. This is Thigam Nathoo, and what I'm going to show you today is some lovely vegetarian cooking. Well, more and more people now are moving away from meat eating and going more towards vegetarian cooking. Why? Because of the benefits. There's many benefits to it. Firstly, most importantly, it's benefits of health. So what we're making today is something very unusual. It's actually made all from fruit. And for those of you who didn't know, tomatoes is a fruit, and of course oranges and cucumber. And those are the main ingredients of the dish that I'm going to show you today. So what am I making? I'm making a spicy tomato soup. So it sounds very strange because when I grew up, the tomato soup that I knew was a cream of tomato soup. I've never heard of a spicy tomato soup until I learned about this one from my mother-in-law, and then I've adapted it to make it my own over the years. So basically, get your pot nice and heated. A good heavy base pot will do. And then we're going to add a little bit of oil. About a tablespoon or two should do it. Swirl that around. Pot is getting nice and hot, and then we're going to start adding our first ingredients. The beauty of this is that we're going to blend the soup later, so we don't need to chop everything finely. So what's going in first? Our spice, and that's a green chili. That's going into the pot as our first ingredient. And then I'm going to put in some garlic and ginger. Now you'll notice you didn't hear a sizzle. And the reason for that is I don't want to burn my garlic and ginger. I want it to start heating up with the oil. So it's hot enough, but not where you're going to immediately brown. And I'm going to now add this. I've chopped up my garlic roughly, so at about 3 cloves of garlic, and I've got some ginger paste in here. So now you're going to start hearing the sizzle. And while that's sputtering a little bit in there, we're going to start adding our liquidized tomato. Now you can use fresh tomato, or you can use canned tomato. Now I do cheat every now and again and use the canned tomato, but if you've got fresh plum tomatoes, jam tomatoes as we know them, add that in. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to add a little bit of water in here, and what that water is going to do is to just take away a little bit of the acidity of the tomatoes. Now you may be saying, why tomatoes of all the ingredients? I mean, what is the nutritional value of tomatoes? Actually, the nutritional value of tomatoes is wonderful because it has lycopene. Lycopene is very good in fighting cancer and heart disease. So you find that you've got really good reason to have tomatoes in your diet. And what we're going to do now is we've added the tomato, we've got the garlic and ginger in there. I'm just going to give it a little bit of a stir, and then I'm going to start, we want the tomatoes to start cooking, so I'm going to start adding a little bit of the spices in there. What spices are we using? We're going to be using some jeera powder and turmeric powder. So just about half a teaspoon of jeera powder. I would say there's about 6 to 8 jam tomatoes in here, or if you want to use a can, it'll be 1 whole can with half a can of water. Okay, so 1 whole can of whole tomatoes and half a can of water. And then I've got jeera powder and turmeric powder that I'm going to add into this tomato. Give that a mix. Now, you know, tomatoes are very acidic. So what we tend to do when we cook with tomatoes is to add some sugar in that. And that takes away the acidity of the tomato. So I'm adding a teaspoon of sugar here. You can add a little bit more once you taste the soup and see if it's still too sour, then you can add a little more sugar. But I find that we don't want to take away too much of that because the whole point of a tomato is for a tomato soup is for it to be tangy. Okay, so I'm going to put the lid on and just allow this to just cook for a little bit while I tell you about the other ingredients. So the other ingredients that are in here is going to be some grated cucumber, as you can see. And we're going to, and you know, cucumber is not just for salad, eh? Cucumber has lots of fiber. It gives you, it's very good for weight loss. So if you can eat a couple, say about a quarter cucumber a day, it's actually very good for you because it gives you your water content as well. So if you're someone that's like me that hates drinking water all the time or forgets, you can eat cucumbers because there's a lot of water in that. But at the same time, you're getting some amino acids and you're getting antioxidants. And of course, you're getting fiber from the peel. Now, there are many people who remove the peel of the cucumber and then grate the cucumber. And I say, no, eat the peel. Well, I'm not the only one. Nutritionists say to you, eat the peel because the peel has quite a lot of fiber in it. And some of the antioxidants are in the peel as well. And then I'm going to put in some oranges into this. We're going to squeeze out the orange juice and I'm going to put it into the tomato soup. Why oranges? Oranges are full of vitamins like the tomato. Tomatoes have vitamin C and vitamin K. You'll find that the oranges have vitamins as well. So we've got lots of vitamin C in your oranges. And I tell you, this spicy soup is excellent for a very cold night, if you've got a very cold night, or if you're feeling fluey. So if any of the family members are very fluey, you'll find that a good bowl of this tomato soup is excellent. And you can eat it with some toast. You can make some toast and just butter them and put the toast fingers in there. Or you could make croutons. So croutons is little pieces of bread that you fry, and you can dry fry it. You don't have to deep fry it, and put that into your pot. So if you want to have a look, that's our tomatoes cooking away in the pot. Now, because I cheated this evening and I'm using canned tomatoes, it will cook very, very quickly. So at this point, I can actually add my my orange juice. So what I'm going to do is to take a fork and I'm going to extract the juice from the half of the orange into the soup. So it's very simple to do, where you keep doing this, where you keep working the fork into the orange, and then you squeeze out as much of the juice as you can. I'm going to be using 3 oranges, and I think that should be just enough to give us that lovely tang and all of that beautiful vitamin C that's in the oranges. So there we go with the next one. So anybody that's feeling fluey, you've got those flu symptoms, or you just feel like it's a cold night, especially for all you Joburgers out there that's really feeling cold, feeling the cold every night. We are actually very lucky here in Durban. We don't have that many cold nights. But even the few that we do have, I find that this juice really does, the soup really does help. And you can put more chilies in there. I've only put 1 chili in there because I'm not that brave. But for those of you that want more of the heat, you can put more chilies in yours. You can even make it with the dried chili. You don't have to use green chilies. You can use red dried chilies. So this is now the second orange that's going in. You can use, store-bought orange juice, the ones that you buy that are 100%. But I've tried it and it's not quite the same. I must say that when you squeeze a real fresh orange, the juice is the best. So with vegetarian cooking, a lot of people ask me, well, then what do you cook? What is there to cook? There's such a plethora of dishes that we can make. There's so much variety around. And we are so lucky with the array of vegetables that we have in the marketplace. You can literally make a different dish every day. And with protein, if you need protein, that's the thing that most vegetarians lack, is the amount of protein in their diet. And the best way to get all that protein is to ensure that you have some kind of lentil in your meals. So every time you cook, you add more lentils to your meal. Maybe 1 lentil a day, 1 different type of lentil. Cheese has got protein in it, so on the days you don't cook lentils, you've got your cheese to add to that. While I'm waiting to see whether I'm going to do a taste, because I put in 2 oranges, I'm not sure if I'm going to need the 3rd one. So I'm going to put in my grated cucumber into my pot. I must tell you, it's a pity that this camera can't capture smell because it's already smelling really nice in here. Okay, and we'll give that a stir. Oh, that smells divine. I'm going to put a little bit of black pepper in here as well, because you know tomatoes and black pepper go very well together. So a good grinding of black pepper. And then I'm going to give it a stir. And then I'm going to give it a taste to see if I'm going to need more oranges. So I'm going to get another spoon. Okay, so there we go. Just going to taste a little bit. Of course, I'm going to let it get cold. I think there's more than enough orange juice. I'm not going to add the rest. But what I am going to do is add my salt. Remember, I didn't add the salt earlier because I'd like all my ingredients to be in the pot before I add the salt. So about 1 teaspoon should do, but I will taste again and then we'll see if we need more. At this point, what we do is we'd like to get the sauce thickened a little bit. The soup thickened a little bit. If you can see, it's got all the bits and pieces in there. You can drink the soup as is. You don't have to make it smooth. But sometimes you get some fussy people at home that don't want to see bits and pieces in their soup and they just want to drink it nice and smooth. So for that reason, we will blend the soup at the end. I'm now going to do something to thicken the soup a little bit. And I've got here 1 tablespoon of gram flour. So that's 1 tablespoon of gram flour. I'm going to add a little bit of water and make a paste. Now, if ever you're going to add any dry ingredient to liquid, you should always make a paste first, because if you just add them, they'll become lumps in your soup or in whatever liquid you're using. So generally in a soup, if you're going to add a thickening agent, in this case it's our gram flour that we're using, you have to add it into a paste first, mix it into a good paste. So I've got my water and the gram flour mixed into a little paste, and then I'm going to add it into the pot. And there we go. So that's going to go in. Then I'm just going to take a little bit of the liquid from there and mix that in. And I think we need a little bit more liquid. And there we go. Okay, so now we've got all our ingredients in the pot. The soup is ready. I mean, look at it. It took literally 13 minutes for the soup to be ready. All I need to do now is to ensure that it's nice and smooth, and I'm going to braise it. Now, we say braising, but it's actually called tempering. So it's like when you make dal, and then you have a little bit of oil, and you put your jeera and mustard seeds in, and then you put it back in the dal. That's called tempering, and that's what we're going to do to the soup. So we're going to temper the soup now. And the way I'm going to do that is to just quickly put on my stove. I'm going to put a little bit of oil in this little pot that I've got here. I'm going to do another taste test. That's yummy. But you know, I still think I need to add a little more orange. So here we go. So it's bubbling away. We're all ready. I'm actually going to start with my tempering now. So what I'm going to do is to move this pot away, And I'm going to put my little pot in the middle, and that pot is just for me to temper. So I've got some, I put a little bit of oil in this little saucepan here, and as soon as that gets hot, I'm going to put the jeera and mustard seeds in that, and as they sputter, I'll put them into the soup. Okay, let's see if we're ready. Okay, just a little bit more, it's not hot enough as yet. And there we go. These tiny saucepans are an absolute godsend for when you're doing things like this. They actually work so well. So we've got to get this nice and golden, and then we're going to add it into our soup. Right, it's sputtering very well. I'm going to put the pot back on the heat and add that in there, and then I'm just going to put a little bit of water, swirl that around, and that goes in. So there you get it. That's my soup in there. I've allowed it to just mix a little bit. I'm going to switch my stove off, and then I am going to bring in my blender and start blending the soup. But before I do that, I think I should remove the chili, just in case it gets a bit too hot. Okay, so I'm just busy looking for my chili. There we are. I'm going to just take the chili out. Look, if you like your soup nice and spicy, by all means, leave the chili in. And I'm going to bring my blender forward. And we're going to blend the soup. And you'll find you're getting a lovely, smooth tomato soup. This is absolutely easy. Whoever invented all these things, I thank them. I think every chef thanks them because it makes our lives so much easier. As much as I'm blending the soup, I'm leaving little bits of the mustard seeds and that in there because we want a little bit of texture in our soup as well. Okay, and there we go. Our soup done, and now all we need to do is to ladle some of the soup into our bowl, ready for service. And there you have it. This is our spicy tomato soup. Enjoy.
Thank you so much, Thigamji. That really is warming in the winters of South Africa. So we've had some very exemplary guests on our week of Indian kitchens worldwide. But today I'm going to somebody a bit extraordinary, a master indeed. He's known throughout the world for his yummy dishes, his unique style in cooking, and of course, he always leaves us with an aha moment on our plates. That's no other than Master Chef Mr. Deena Naidoo, presenting to us a huge culinary surprise.
Vanakkam, namaskaram to one and all of you. Welcome to the India Kitchens Worldwide, hosted by the Consulate General of India based in South Africa, as well as the South African branch of the Vivekananda Cultural Center. My name is Chef Deena Naidoo. I am a South African master chef and I am a restaurateur. So today I'm going to do a simple vegetarian dish that's got all the attributes of being a fine dining meal as such, and I'm going to go through a few cooking techniques with you guys, and hopefully you can replicate the dish in the comfort of your own home during this very challenging time that we find ourselves introduced by the pandemic that we see worldwide. So let's go through the dish itself. Today I'll be doing a aubergine that is stuffed with paneer, with a bit of spices. Then we will dust it into a seasoned flour and shallow fry it so that it has some kind of grilled texture. Then we layer it on a beautiful rendered sauce made of roasted capsicum, which is red pepper, and cashew nut and coconut cream. So let's go through the process and let's look at the ingredients that we will be using for the dish itself. The hero of the dish obviously is the aubergine, which we will cut into about 1.5 centimeter slices in rings. We will cut off the center and stuff it with the paneer mixture that I'll explain to you how to do right now. For the stuffing itself, we're going to be using black mustard seeds, jeera seeds, coriander powder, turmeric powder, some onion that we'll saute, a bit of chili for the heat, spring onion, coriander for garnish later, the paneer obviously that we've crushed into a crumbly texture, and some mashed potatoes which I have pre-cooked with some turmeric powder, hence the beautiful color that you see there. We're going to be cutting the aubergine into slices, a little, as I mentioned, we get rid of the first edge there. I think that should be fine. About 1 centimeter would do fine. We'll do about 4 slices. And we'll choose 4 of the best. Okay. So what we do is we cut off the center of the aubergine, and I'm just looking at what would be the best size. Yeah, that should be fine. So we remove the center of the aubergine. There, perfect. And we're going to sprinkle it with salt so that we remove that excess moisture, so it does not affect the frying process. So that should be fine. Let's turn it around. A little more salt, and we put that off to get rid of all the excess salt. That should take a few minutes. Now we're going to be starting with the preparation of the stuffing. Put in a bit of olive oil, add in the seeds, mustard seeds, bit of cumin seeds. I want to saute off the onion. We use about 1/4 of a medium-sized onion there. Saute that out a bit. You notice that the oil's been sucked up by the onion, so a little bit more oil wouldn't do much damage. The intention is to fry this off. We fried off the onion, and I'm looking at it and it looks a bit translucent, and that's exactly the stage that I want it to be at. I put in the coriander powder, a touch of turmeric, because we've already got the turmeric in the potato. Saute that out a bit, and I'm just waiting to sweat out the onion. While that's getting prepared, getting ready rather, we'll get the potato and the paneer. Okay, so I'm adding in the paneer now. It's about 1/2 cup of paneer. Mix that up. And then the potato. The reason I brought in the mashed potato is, as you can see, the paneer is very loose, and you need something to bind it together. And this being a total vegetarian dish, I'm going to rely on a potato to do that for me. So we'll just mix that in and let it blend. What we're busy doing right now is we are incorporating the potato, or the paneer rather, into the potato so that they form one bond with each other. To recap what we've done, we've sauteed the onion, we've added the cumin seeds, the coriander powder, the paneer which was mixed into the potato. We allowed that to blend into each other to form one unit or as an ingredient, and we have just seasoned it with a bit of salt and fresh herbs. So that's basically the stuffing done and dusted. We're going to allow that to cool off while we prepare the sauce and the aubergine discs itself. Okay, so here's the paneer mix, the stuffing mixture, all done, paneer and potato, and we will allow that to cool down. So basically, we've allowed the aubergine to sweat out most of the liquid. As you can see, most of the liquid has been absorbed into that paper towel, and I'm going to be busy stuffing these aubergine rings right now. Okay, so basically we've seasoned with salt. As you've seen that I added the salt to bring out the moisture. I'm going to now sprinkle with a bit of chili powder or any masala mixture of your choice, just to add some seasoning, a bit of heat to the aubergine rings itself, because the aubergines are basically tasteless and we need a bit of seasoning on the outside flesh of the rings. Okay, this is ready. I'm going to be stuffing the aubergine rings with a bit of the stuffing that we prepared earlier. So gently push that into the inner circle that we've created earlier. Like that. Okay, so we just want it to be stuffed completely and not to rise above the level of the aubergine ring itself, or the height of the aubergine. Just basically stuff it until it's sort of full. And you can just use the back of the spoon to press down. Press down. Nice and neat level top. Do the last one. Okay, that looks good. Help it with your finger. We can flip it over just to double check how we're looking, and that looks perfectly stuffed, bottom and on the top. The next step now is to prepare the seasoned flour so that we can fry off the aubergine. Alright, so basically that aubergine is done. We get ready with the seasoned flour. So we add a bit of flour. This is just to create a coating onto the aubergine ring so that we get this beautiful brown, golden brown crust. About a teaspoon of corn flour mixed. And I want to put in a bit of chili powder here just to get some color into it. A bit of salt. And any other spice that you think appropriate to season this flour. But this is just basic stuff. A little bit of seasoning, mix that around, get that corn flour all mixed into the mixture, and then we gently coat the aubergine rings in the flour. Perfect. Press it down so that the flour is totally absorbed. There's still a bit of moisture. We're depending on that. Run the ring around there in the rim. For the second one we go. Around there. Perfect. Just allow the flour to, you don't need any type of binding liquid here because the aubergine itself has got enough of its own moisture that you can depend on. Right, so that's perfect there. And the last one we go. Perfect. Okay, so we've coated the aubergines, we've stuffed them, we've coated them, and we have now ready to fry them off. So a little bit of olive oil. So we put in some olive oil and we get in the aubergines to fry off. Gently lift them in a non-stick frying pan if possible. Perfect. So we want to fry them until they slightly golden brown. Okay. So now we're ready to make up the sauce for the aubergine itself, and let's get started with that. In with a little bit of olive oil. We want to fry out or saute the onion. So you notice that I'm not putting in any any seeds like coriander or cumin at this stage because this is going to be a sauce. Fry out the onion. Saute that out. Slightly translucent. I'm adding in the ginger. And the garlic, and sweat that out slightly. Let's get rid of all the onions on here. Ready? Saute that out. So we're going to be cooking out the onion, adding in the cashews, a little bit of chili, the coriander, the cumin powders, and then creating the sauce in a blender or a liquidizer. Okay, so that looks fine. That's frying away. I'm now going to be adding in the powders, which is cumin powder, coriander powder, and for the heat itself, I'm adding in a bit of chili paste, or you can just use normal crushed chili. Okay, let that saute out a bit. And I mentioned that we're adding in a bit of paprika. The paprika itself just adds a bit of smokiness and color more than anything else, so that it gives this beautiful sauce a nice rich red. As you notice that the beautiful aromas that I'm experiencing here, you notice that the oil has been absorbed. I don't want to put too much of oil because I'm bringing in the coconut milk in later, and that's going to be a lot of liquid into it. We can add in the cashews now. And the seared or char-grilled red pepper. Saute that out a bit. Okay, do a quick taste. You realize that you need a bit of salt in here. And that's all the seasoning that you need. Let that saute out a bit. And I'm going to add in the coconut cream. Okay, so what will happen is the coconut cream will allow the pan to deglaze and pick up all that beautiful flavor from the bottom of the pan. Okay, so basically we'll allow the coconut cream mixture to simmer away. And let's have a quick look at what's happening with the aubergine. Very gently, beautiful color, as you can see. We gently tip over. Okay, you can see. Beautiful. Getting a lovely color here. Stuff that over. Aubergines actually cook very quickly, as you will notice. We have this simmering away. Brilliant. Looking very good. Beautiful fragrances. The sauce is simmering up beautifully, and because I love coriander, this goes with everything. We can even cook with coriander. So we're just gonna add in a bit of coriander to this mixture and allow that to add its own flavor and simmer away. That's fine, beautiful. That's looking absolutely beautiful. The coconut cream is evaporating, and I don't want to lose too much of liquid there. Quick squiz at the aubergine. That's cooking very nicely, or rather frying off very nicely. Quick squiz. You've got to understand that the potatoes are already done. It's just the outer rim of the aubergine that needs to be cooked. So that's not going to take too long. Okay, so that's done. Okay, now it's time for us to liquidize or blend the sauce and simmer it a bit more so that it reduces. And we're ready for that. Okay, so now I'm really pleased with the consistency of the sauce, and I'm going to now add it to the blender to be blended into a fine sauce that we will later reduce, and this will form the base of the dish itself and add a lot of aesthetic value to the dish itself. Okay, so put that on simmer, put that on simmer, and so be careful. Okay, and a quick look at the aubergine. What's happening there? Carefully, carefully, carefully. I think that's done. Okay, the sauce is now ready, and I'm going to bring it back to the pan to continue to simmer. That looks brilliant. I don't want to lose too much of liquid. I look at the consistency. It's looking beautiful, nice and glossy. So basically we've got the two components all ready to plate. We've got this beautiful sauce, and the aubergine has been grilled off to a beautiful brown color, and we'll be ready to plate. So we are ready to plate the dish, the most important part of the meal, because people eat with their eyes, as we all know. So we're ready for this. So what we do is we get a bowl, and we layer the sauce at the bottom. Perfect. Yes. Perfect. We've got the aubergine. A little bit of garnish. Coriander and a bit of the pepper skins that we used earlier. And some of the coconut cream that I reserved. Just a little bit of white to highlight. At the back. And a touch of paprika just around the dish. So there you have it, a beautiful dish that you can create in the comfort of your very own home. The paneer stuffed aubergine on the coconut and cashew nut reduced cream. God bless all of you guys and stay safe. This is Chef Deena Naidoo wishing you well from South Africa. God bless you all.
Thank you so much, Master Chef Deena Naidoo, for that amazing chili paneer and aubergine dish. I know that like every other person in the world, we all going to definitely try this dish. Thank you so much, everybody, for joining us on the continent of Africa. Please stay tuned to the rest of the week's proceedings. I now hand you over to my colleague, Ms. Cheryl Banwari-Lal, to render this afternoon's vote of thanks.
On behalf of the Swami Vedanand Cultural Center at the Consulate General of India in Durban, I would like to express our deep gratitude and say a huge thank you to Swami Vedanand Saraswati, the spiritual head of the Arya Samaj from South Africa. I would like to say thank you to Mr. Vikat Kumar from Ghana. I would like to say thank you to Ms. Thigam Nathoo from South Africa. I would like to express our deep gratitude and say thank you to Master Chef Deena Naidoo from South Africa. I would like to say a huge thank you to our director, Dr. Chaitanya Prakash Yogi, who is the director of the Swami Vedanand Cultural Center. I would like to say a huge thank you to Ms. Kavita Solanki and Ms. Shusti Harinarayan. I would like to say thank you to Mr. Piyush Khandewal for all the technical support and making all our online programs a success. I would like to say everyone stay at home and stay safe. Thank you.